and I think that all those beliefs that, it's not really a matter of whether it's a majority or a minority. I mean, we may reach a point, certainly in the world, all religions, all specific religions are minorities. If you look at the 6 billion people on the planet, Islam is a minority, Christianity is a minority.
All right, let me read one more email and then we'll go back to one of our earlier topics. But this is from Judy Jones. She's in Colorado. She says, I'm a Mormon, but I believe that atheists have the right to have their messages in the public sphere. I don't feel that the message in Olympia, Washington is attacking Christians. That's her point of view. But we're getting a lot of emails from people about this, and the majority of them do not think that it is appropriate for this sign to...
I'm just surprised that there's not that there's only two versions. I mean, what happened to Kwanzaa? What happened to Hanukkah?
Well done to the atheists. They've done exactly what they wanted to do,
sort of
right? They created a story. That's exactly what you want to do. So they've done a great job from a communications perspective.
And here we are talking about it.
Mike, let me read this email to you. It says, would the nice man in the white shirt and glasses please do us all a favor and gag the weasel in the green shirt?
Well, I mean, doesn't this person, I've
he's getting us awfully excited the whole time.
Don't people who disagree with me at least appreciate, how many people are going to go on, where else but the strategy room where you're going to see somebody defending atheism? You won't see this on other networks or other shows.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
I'm here to say things that people may not agree with.
Well, and we do have Peter on along with Father Jonathan, and they talk about these issues. And Father Jonathan says there's hope for you yet.
He says it, then it's got to be true.
Yeah, he's certainly a nice man. But back to our earlier subject that we were talking about, and we're going to get a live report from our correspondent who's in Islamabad, Pakistan today, and he's been following what's been going on between the two countries and U.S. efforts over there to try to get Pakistan. Nope, he's not available? Oh, okay. Never mind. We've been having fantastic reports from our guy on the ground there. But back to this earlier subject, a big issue is going to be when Barack Obama takes office, Hillary Clinton becomes Secretary of State. Is this one of the first countries that the new administration will have to focus on, Pakistan and India, and what can they do to try to crack down or get Pakistan to crack down on terrorism, and what can they do to try to keep the peace between these two nuclear-powered countries?
Well, no question that's going to be very, very high on the foreign policy list of the new administration. But I think probably within a context. If you look today where American troops are deployed, they're deployed in Iraq and Afghanistan. We're beginning to see a strategy to wind the commitments down in Iraq. We don't see it yet in Afghanistan, and we've got to focus on that. But Afghanistan is intimately linked to what happens in Pakistan, and therefore as well with India. So I think the new administration is not only going to have to look at the issue of India and Pakistan, it's going to have to look at the connectivities and address India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, and the neighborhood, including Iran as a whole. And that's going to represent a major political change from the way the present administration is going about dealing with the problem.
What about some of these reports that we've been hearing that Israel is preparing its options, and we've heard these sort of rumblings from them before, but preparing its options for striking Iran?
Well, you want a blunt answer. It's a dreadful idea, and I actually think it's not going to happen.
Do you think that we often hear sort of controversial things coming out of Israel. They will leak stuff to the news, in particular the papers over there, just meant to sort of get people, to sort of upset people. But do you think that the plan is real and they might try to do something to Iran before the new administration goes in or after?
I know of no significant military power in the world that doesn't have contingency plans. That said, a military attack on Iran aimed at the Iranian nuclear capability would be a dreadful mistake. Not just for Israel, it would be a terrible mistake for the United States, for we would catch the blame for it. It would not knock out the Iranian nuclear system. That would come back for sure. It would arouse opinion around the world. It would complicate the maintenance of peace and security in the Persian Gulf. It would put American forces in greater harm's way in Iraq and Afghanistan. It would have an instant effect on the price of oil if we enjoy it where it is today. You want it back at $140 a barrel. You can get back there very quickly. It is a very poor idea.
But
that being said, do you think that they're not
Israel
planning it? That they're not thinking about it?
As I said, I think everybody has contingency plans, and this notion that keeping some pressure up will lead to some useful outcome is an enchanting notion to many observers. I actually think it's not serving a good purpose right now, that we as Americans are going to have to sit down, take a step back, look at this Iranian problem, this nuclear problem, in a context of our other issues, and figure out how we begin to address it first politically before we jump and conclude the only way of dealing with Iran is a military
But
response.
isn't the question kind of what Israel's trying to accomplish by getting this story out there? I mean, are they trying to refocus the debate so that this military option's out on the table and move things further to the right to kind of say that something better happened, otherwise this is an option?
Right.
And is that a good strategy? I mean, I think it's...
Israel's coming up to elections, too. And this is clearly the single biggest political football they've got to deal with, is nuclear weapons in Iran. And from what I've talked to and talking to people, the people that I've talked to, that it is certainly something that is definitely on the table, and it's on the table to happen before January 20th when a new administration comes in.
But don't we have a plan that if Israel unleashes strikes against Iran or starts to, that we would go in and attack Iran first?
Oh, boy, talk about a bunch of nightmare scenarios. My guess is if it happens, if Israel does attack Iran, that it will happen before a new administration comes for a lot of political reasons, both ours and theirs. If it does happen, it's a very complicated military maneuver, and it doesn't necessarily eliminate Iran's nuclear ambitions or abilities. May buy a couple of years, but not much more. And if it does happen, it's an attack that I don't think they call up and say, Dick Cheney, we're about to go, what do you think? I think Iran does it. I mean, Israel does it, and then after the fact, has to assume that Americans not going to shoot down.
But Katie's absolutely right. The Israelis are not going to call up and say we're planning to attack Iran tomorrow morning, because our instant response would be don't do that.
Well, so that's in '81, right? With the Iraqi nuclear reactor that they took out, wasn't that the same? They didn't give us any warning, did they?
Exactly. Yeah. That's the point. Yeah. But I honestly believe the Israelis are sending a signal to their own community because of the elections. Katie's got her finger on it. Israel is also reminding all of us that this nuclear matter is very important, that we cannot relax, that it must be a very high priority for a new administration, for the international community. And this is one way Israel can force the issue back at the top of our screens. But an actual military attack, it boggles my imagination that anybody would see the advantages in it. They aren't there.
Well, unless Israel concludes there's no option.
For 1 second, because you probably just heard that big loud beep in the background here. We get that when there's breaking news, and there's a new piece of news coming out, and that is a large group of CEOs. They got together, and they're surveyed every year, and they said some things that are going to make the markets, I would imagine, a little bit nervous today. Let me just mention a few things that are coming out about this new CEO report. U.S. CEOs expect no growth in the U.S. economy in the next year, according to the survey. 60% of these CEOs expect to cut American jobs over the next 6 months. 45% of these CEOs expect their company's sales to decline over the next 6 months. This survey being released out of Boston today, it says U.S. chief executives' confidence in the economy plunged in the fourth quarter, with the majority of them planning to cut jobs and capital spending as they face a spreading global recession, according to a Business Roundtable survey released just a few minutes ago today. Not good news.
No. I actually, my instinct, because it's partly as a public opinion, we're in the public opinion business. It's not good news. It strikes me a little bit as a lagging indicator, in the sense that this is sort of, a lot of those job cuts that they're talking about. We've seen it. AT&T, I can't remember the number, just announced this morning that they're planning to cut back. Of course, Citigroup. We've seen, who knows what's going to happen with the auto industry based on this whole, the potential of bankruptcy.